Hey, man. On a Tuesday, it's Dukes and Bell, guys. Welcome Behind the Curtain. It's our pre-show. We tell you what's going on with the show and what's going to be happening. And look, Orange just popped in with little baby. Oh, my God. I hate children, but what a cute kid. That is so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So it's time for the vasectomy now, huh? Orange, too, you done?
We're done.
Yeah.
That's film coming. Yes.
Yeah, get the frozen peas out, Joe. Hey, the new guy up in the corner, that is Mike Johnson. You hear him on the morning shift. What's he doing? Because with Carl, it takes a village to replace my partner. Carl's on vacation, so Mike Johnson's going to jump in today and tomorrow. And today, with the Falcons going to Tampa Bay for Thursday Night Football on Amazon, we're going to be up at the branch. It's an early edition. Day-Day's up there, our producer, the brains of the operation. And we're going to start the show right at 2 with Coach Morris. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, we all did our incident analysis videos after the game, Mike, and you have to do the post game. I mean, you can't fix special teams. We've asked him about it. He said to the media yesterday there aren't going to be any changes. Mike, you played in the NFL. Special teams guys generally take pride in their game, and it's a way for the guys who can't be the starting 22 to get an NFL pension. I've never seen in all my years as a Falcon fan special teams like this. Why is this happening?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's probably something we're going to ask Rod today. And look, I mean, there's a number of different things. You can't look at the blocked field goal and think that it's the same thing that happens on the kickoff return, right? The Bradley Pinion shanks a punt, Jamal Agnew muffs one. It's not all the same thing. So as you guys know, there's always a bunch of explanation. I'm sure Rod will do his best, but I want to get in the nitty gritty when I talk to Rod today. You know, Look, it's 1.3 seconds usually from snap to hold to kick. Were we at 1.3 seconds when we got the kick block? Was the edge too short? Was Bergeron? I mean, like, what's going on there? A number of different things to get into with him on that. So I don't know. I'll try to diagnose as best I can with him today, but it's hard with Marquise Williams to point to one thing because it's like 5 things. So we'll see.
And as we know, I mean, you have to remind Falcon fans watching us. I mean, it's cost us games. You know, we've seen teams flip the field. We've had the inability to, to just and you're tasking your defense. You're stretching your D. You know, we talked about this. You know, the Jets in the game, they were able to hold into a field goal. And then conversely, later in the game, that's the other thing with this defense, Mike. I think guys say, we'll give Ulbrich a pass. That's the one area that works. We're having a hard time, though, getting those guys off the field. And Carl pointed out earlier in the season, it was because the offense was 3 and out. There was almost 25 more plays for the defense. Hasn't been the case the last few weeks. What's wrong with the defense?
Well, I think that they do have a difficulty on first and second down. I think they have difficulty stopping the run. Guys, this goes all the way back to the spring. I hate to say it, but as good as we feel about Divine Diablo, Caden Ellis' times, the pass rush, Xavier Watts, the one thing we did was we lost Grady Jarrett. We lost Goldman in free agency last year, and we did nothing through the draft or really throughout free agency. Remember, we brought in Morgan Fox. Everybody's like, oh, right. Good, Morgan Fox. That's going to work out really good. Guy gets cut in training camp. So we haven't done anything to address the defensive line. I mean, I don't know how many snaps, but I saw Elijah Garcia on the field this past weekend. He gets like 10 snaps. He just got brought in 2 weeks ago. So they're trying to find guys on the street to shore up that run defense on first and second down that allow you to feast on third and long. But that's really where the weakness has been. I think they've done a good job overall, but man, it's been tough. It's been tough at times with teams that can run the football.
Dave Archer's going to join us today, guys. We got his take as well. Is he going to be in studio, Day-Day? Because he's usually, listening, watching, judging, lurking at Flowery Branch, so he'll be there. Day-Day, what do you think, man? I mean, I said to Day-Day before we came on the pre-show, I don't want to kick a man while he's down. Coach knows how I feel about this regime. It just when he said Day-Day to the media that there's no changes coming, and what's going to prove anyway. So I mean, he's rolling with Marquise Williams, and that's a unit we just pointed out which continues to malfunction.
Well, he did also mention the fact that, we heard him say that, he's confident in, the conversations he's walking out of with Arthur Blank. So, I mean, for me, and I don't know anything, but what that says to me is that, whatever his fate is going to be, whatever this coaching staff's fate is going to be, maybe there's kind of already been some discussion to allude to that. And they've already come to terms to, as far as how they feel about things, they've already come to terms with accepting how things are going to go at the end of the season, because he does not seem to be, I don't want to say not concerned, but he seems at peace with whatever, how things are playing out right now. So the only thing I can take away from that is maybe he kind of already knows what's going on. And to your point, like, look, if he knows that they have to make the coaching change at the end of the year, as far as special teams, Marquise Williams or any other coaches, maybe that's something that's already been discussed. There's no need for them to really get into it because they already know it's going to take place.
Oren, we spoke about it yesterday. I mean, the fan base, you brought it up. Who's coming next year if there's not a regime change? Where are Falcon fans going to be with that?
Don't have to look forward to next year. These next 2 home games we got. Who's going to come to that? Who's going to come and watch these Falcons play the first place Rams? Who's going to watch these Falcons come and that Saints game, that traditional rivalry game? Like, what if Mercedes-Benz is 60-40 Saints fans, Falcons fans for that game, and the Saints are looking forward to putting the cherry on top of that crap honey that's been the Falcon season so far? My question is, and Mike, maybe you can speak to this too. Those Monday mornings or Sunday nights when all those coaches get together and they watch that film at all 22, is there accountability being taken by individual coaches? Is Raheem sitting there and telling them after watching a block kick or kickoff return is like, Keith, this is your unit again right here. That's your guy right there. Why is he not where he's supposed to be? Did you not tell him to be in that spot right there? On defense, you look at these guys not making tackles. Look at Jeff Ulbrich. Why are you guys not making tackles? Why are we not getting to the quarterback? Why is the block not being made? What kind of accountability is being had in those meetings before they sit down all the players and they have to kind of assess what they did and what they didn't do from a coaching standpoint each and every Sunday?
Yeah, Warren, I think I can answer that by saying that sounds more like an Arthur Blank meeting with Raheem Morris as opposed to Raheem Morris meeting with assistant coaches, because Raheem Morris is in a lot of those meetings beforehand. He's at practice beforehand. He knows if Marquise Williams said, hey, man, you got to get off the block. Hey, man, you got to make this kick in 1.3 seconds. Hey, Bergeron, you got to widen the wing edge on the field goal. Hey, Jamal, you can't try to catch a ball inside the 5-yard line. Raheem already knows those things. He knows how those guys are being coached. That's something that happens, back in March. Hey, this is how I want these guys to be coached. This is what I want us to do in this situation. Here's the technique I want us to use when they throw a screen, when they're running this play, when they're running that play. So it's nothing that has to happen on Monday morning. I think more right now, especially with 4 games left, and you mentioned the crowd, how are we going to fix it, right? Who is available? Can we bring in that wide receiver we signed yesterday? Who else is out there on the team that can actually go do these things? So I don't think it's an accountability from head coach to assistant coach, because I think that's already taken course. I think that he's been a part of those meetings and a part of those conversations with the players. And if Marquise wasn't doing that from the get-go, it might be a different conversation right now. But sounds like Raheem's comfortable with the way he's coaching it.
Well, like we said, and I've told this to him to his face, I mean, you're going to get got. At this point, we're not going to the playoffs. It's 8 years in a row. We spent some time yesterday on Dukes and Bell talking about the front office, and their culpability in this, because as we just said with special teams, I mean, I've just, and I'm not trying to, be Mr. Hype here. I mean, I've just never seen special teams this bad. Kadarius Hodge gets benched, a guy who's a Pro Bowler. What happened there? These guys can't. I know, Mike, you're using the starters as kind of like a last resort because you don't want to get injured. I'd rather see D. Alford out there for kick returns, than some of the things we work. But at least he's done it.
He mentioned that last night on the coaches show, the idea, Raheem with Arch, about putting starters in those special team spots now, because it's gotten to a point where you need guys out there like, hey, dependable. You need guys to make plays. So he mentioned that last night with Arch, talking about having starters in those special team roles.
Man, we'll talk plenty more about the Falcons live from the branch, as we said, with Arch and that man, Mike Johnson, hanging out, and he'll get some nuts and bolts going with Coach. Last night, man, I've always supported Jalen Hurts, and I've always felt he gets too much hate in Philly. Man, he's awful, man. That was god-awful. I'm AJ Brown. I mean, maybe I'll go read War and Peace on the sideline. That was just horrible last night. I know the Chargers bring the heat on defense, but the Eagles had 7 sacks. And you can't win the game with all that talent in Philadelphia. Mike, Day, Oren, what do you guys think?
They're playing with one hand, too, yes.
Yeah, I think that you guys know me, and anybody that's ever listened to the Morning Shift, I'm always one like taking the back of the offensive line, being like, it's not all the offensive line's fault. It's not all the offensive line's fault. I just think that we've grown so accustomed to the Eagles' offensive line being so unique and so elite in the way they go about their business with Landon Dickerson and Mailata and, Lane Johnson and all these different guys, that they didn't play that way last night. As much as I think Jalen Hurts stunk last night, and I am a huge fan of his, he was under duress constantly throughout a lot of that game, kind of throwing off the back foot, trying to roll out, throwing the ball away, taking sacks. So I don't think it was just him. I think that entire offensive unit, Jeff Stoutland, the O-line coach, and everybody else kind of involved in that's kind of got to look in the mirror. But he's not playing a very good brand of football right now. I feel like he is holding that unit back to an extent.
I know they were egging Kevin Petullo's house up there in Jersey on the other side of the Delaware. The Eagles fans, good people. But, that team is leaking, man. And we're going to see the Rams here in a couple of weeks. The Rams, look, everybody's going to have one of their slip-ups. Theirs happened to be against Carolina. But they came back, and you knew they were going to just drop the hammer. They did last week. So who's your number one right now in the NFC, Mike? Is it L.A.?
I think it's got to be LA. Even with that loss just a couple of weeks ago, man, Matt Stafford's playing at such an incredible level. They have guys, and this is one of the things I want to talk to Raheem about today. They have guys that can do multiple things everywhere. I think that's one of the difficult things in the football in NFL as far as a head coach goes is finding guys that can do multiple things. Right? We have receivers that can run routes. Do they know what routes to run? Do they have good hands? Can they make contested catch? We have linemen that can run block. Can they pass block? We have quarterbacks that can throw with accuracy. Can they identify blitzes and things like that? So I think LA does so many different things so well. Kyron Williams in the backfield, Blake Corum, obviously Puka, Devontae Adams. They do so many different things at such a unique level. It's hard for me not to look at them and think they're the best thing going.
Guys?
I saw a number two that the Rams right now are succeeding so much. One game we won a couple of weeks ago when we ran all that 13 personnel, where the Rams are kings of the 13 personnel this year. On all those tight ends who are versatile, like Mike said, they can do so much. Those tight ends they have can block, they can catch. They aren't afraid to go out there and block. And the Rams being so diverse, I want to say, offensively, puts the Falcons already at another disadvantage because they do so many things so well. And then I don't know if I've seen a team be as successful as the Rams are this year at throwing the ball, like, inside the two. Like, Matt Stafford has a ton of touchdown passes. Normally, that's when you bring your big packages in, all your big guys. But, hell, they're throwing Devontae Adams out there wide and saying, hey, man, stop him on the goal line. See if you can. I bet you can. And to his credit, he's got like 7-8 touchdown catches this year, too. So the Rams are going to – it's going to be as physical and as tough of a game as we saw this last week versus Seattle.
Yeah, Day and Tampa Bay. Let's segue. We got all week to talk. Well, not all week. We got 2 days. Tampa Bay just came off a tough one. It's almost like the wrong time, Day to get the Bucs after that loss to the Saints, where they almost had Buka for the touchdown pass. Baker puts it in his hands, and obviously he owned it. But I mean, yeah, that's a Bucs team. It's going to be a little salty in a short turnaround.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I know last week they got Mike Evans and the other, I can't remember the other wide receiver, but they were both back at practice. So I don't know if we may start to see them, if they're going to be ramping up in hopes of returning this week or not. But, that's a team that, like you said, man, they're still in the mix. I see you, Mike. They're still in the mix for this division. So, they're coming with it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, is Tampa Bay this year's version of last year's Atlanta Falcons?
Yes.
Start off so hot, 6-3, doing a lot of great things, and then you get in the stretch run, you lose a bad game to the New Orleans Saints. It leaves you wondering like what you're doing. You start to get a little bit dinged up, things start to fall off. I just can't help but look at that team and start to kind of react the same way I did last year to the Falcons team that just went.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great. Mike is a great point. Good, Oren.
Oh, yeah.
They just signed Jason Pierre-Paul because they can't get sacks. They're towards the bottom half of the NFL in sacks right now. So they are exactly where the Falcons are last year, not getting after the quarterback. They have a quarterback with a bum shoulder right now, just like the Falcons did last year.
Non-throwing shoulder, but still.
Non-throwing, banged up on the offensive line right now. They're weirdly hurt at spots they don't need to be hurt at right now. Like you said,
right.
Well, that didn't mean it in that way. Bucky Irvin's back, and Mike Evans is back. So they're getting weapons back on offense, but that defense right now is leaking. So if you saw last week, Carolina did. Not Carolina. The Saints were able to move the football against them. Falcons had 2 touchdown runs that were over 10 yards, and I saw that was like the first rookie or something in NFL history to have 2 touchdown rushes over 10 yards, something like that. It was something weird.
Well, the thing is, to Mike's point, they're leaking, and this division is leaking. That's what makes this Falcons season so exasperating. I'll die on the hill that the 49ers, despite being a 10-point loss, winnable game. We talked about the Colts game. There's 4 or 5 that make the difference. While the Bucs were, losing a bunch of games, we had a 5-game losing streak. So this division, 9-8, 10-7, 9-8 may win you this division, and that's what makes this even more frustrating. Because when you have talent like Bijan, Drake makes all the difference. Not having Drake out there because our receiver core sucks, but having the talent, the young pass rushers, the good things we do have on this team. It makes it just so exasperating. Plenty more on that coming up today live from the branch. Real quick, Mike, I know you sounded off on this on your show on the morning shift. College football playoff committee, I would have liked to see the Dogs jump up to 2. Usually if you lose late, the Big Ten bias kind of got in there. But Georgia and Ohio State now in the same bracket. Everybody, don't cry for me, Notre Dame, because nobody wants to hear it. We all hate you, bunch of snobs. What was your take on the playoff? And Alabama, I know you're a little close to the situation. They kind of pre-positioned them at 9. They were too big to fail anyway.
I put it out on Twitter, and I know, listen, I got a couple words to have with Day today. I know you mentioned Big Ten bias. He's been on that SEC train just a little bit too hard over my Twitter feed. So we got words to have up there with Day up in the branch today.
Straighten him out.
But here's what I'll say. I both at the same time feel like a 10-3 SC championship game loser with the stats that they have should get in. But I also know too much about Alabama and the way they've played the last 6 weeks to think that they shouldn't get in, right? I'm like looking at them going, y'all ain't good enough to make a run. Ty Simpson's not playing well. All these injuries, y'all ain't going to get it done. But I don't think that Miami and Notre Dame should have gotten rewarded for not playing last weekend, right? If everything ends at the finish line after 12 games, then I feel like, that when you measured that up, that Bama should have got in. It's the 13th data point that leaves everybody asking questions. So I didn't think Bama should have got in, but I didn't want Miami and Notre Dame to get rewarded either. And that's another conversation for another day. And here's what I'll leave you with. Everybody's going, hey, Notre Dame, join a conference. If I'm them, I'm actually probably going out of my way not to schedule teams like Miami and Texas A&M from here on out. Those are the ones that got dinged with. Those are the hardest games they scheduled, and that's the games that left them out of the playoffs. So everybody's saying, hey, Notre Dame, go schedule hard games, go do this. I don't know if they get rewarded for that. Go schedule easier games all the way down 1 through 12, and you probably get in the playoff next time around.
Right, and that's the thing with this committee. It drives me. All committees suck by nature, but with this committee, it's a moving target. Strength of schedule last year wasn't valued. They don't really value the strength of schedule like they should, and their explanations. That's what made it worse. We spent time on this yesterday. Some of the results were okay, but their methodology was so off that it didn't make any sense. Like, look, just keep Miami above them. Don't put Notre Dame 2 spots above Miami the next to last week, because you're giving the Irish fans the thought they think they're in. And then for Notre Dame to go play like a champion and quit.
Well,
that's weak. That's what
you should have had Alabama in front of Notre Dame all along. You should have had Miami in front of Notre Dame all along. That's really where they made themselves look bad, is by switching it at the last minute. Not really where they ended up, but how they got there and kind of the curves they had the whole way. That's what made them look terrible. Right.
Plus, you got a spokes guy, and Juracek's got a lot on his plate with Arkansas that he just can't articulate what the hell they're trying to do, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Hey, man, other things coming up today on Dukes and Bell. In addition to talking Falcons with Arch, we'll get some guy talk for you. Day with some Yam Bando Man. And ask yourself, who's the Mac? Coach Mac from Kennesaw State, Conference USA champions, made me a little lettuce this weekend over Jacksonville State. What time is Coach Mac coming on, Day?
He'll be on at 2:40.
All right, for you Owls fans, and they get to play in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So hopefully you get some warm weather. I'd opt for, personally, I would take the trip to Orlando, but that's me. But we'll talk to Coach Mack. And are they giving him some more loot, by the way? Are they stepping up to the plate, Day?
They said there's reports that they are negotiating. I didn't see. I don't think they've come to final terms, but there are negotiations going on right now for a contract extension for him. Maybe he'll break the news with us.
Right on, man. Tell him, say, who needs Jimmy Sexton? I can rep this contract, Coach. All right, man. That's Mike Johnson. That's Orrin. We have the cutest podcast. Look at that. You get the baby. The dogs are walking in and out. Oh, hey, man. Today we start the show right at 2. Raheem jumps in. We'll rip the Band-Aid right off at 2 o'clock on Dukes and Bell. Thanks for watching Behind the Curtain.